Hi everybody, how are you? It's me, Gretchen, here with Story and Art. Thanks for joining me tonight for another story and some art and some things and all that good stuff. Oh, let me pull up. I knew I forgot something. There it is. Hey, there is my comments. Got it now. That's better. And we have checking in. We have Linda. Hi, Linda. And Julia. Thank you. And Gail. Gail's here. Larry's here. Yeah. Well, everybody, it's been toasty warm here today. I did a Marco Polo with Layla not too long ago and told her that for the first time since she's moved to Arizona, we had hotter weather than she did. And so it's been kind of funny. There's Larry. Yeah, Larry the Legend. Yes, Larry the Legend is here. So, Larry, I think you're gonna like tonight. The music in person in you is gonna like this one. But first, true confessions. I forgot to do my favorite color. Right there it just says, oops, I forgot. Completely forgot Lab 4. Had a really kind of busy day. I was being nice and efficient and was getting my things done for the art walk and the printing done and all that kind of stuff. And wouldn't you know, the maintenance cartridge on my printer, on my big printer, maxes out. And with this particular printer, you can't print anymore when the maintenance cartridge is full. There's no way to take the maintenance cartridge apart and to drain it or to do anything like that. You simply have to replace it. I went through all of Jose Rodriguez, the printing guru, his things, and he's like, nope, you can't. So I have one on order. It'll be here Monday. But I thought I had a backup, but I must have used the backup at one point because I couldn't find it anywhere. So take a deep breath and off we go. That's all right. Things will get done. It's, the artists and people will show up, and if there's little things that didn't get done, I'm not going to tell anybody. They're not going to know. And that's the way it's going to go. So, but before we get started on tonight's story, hi, 7, let's see. Angie's watching on the TV. Oh, hi, Angie. Hi, how are you? Good. Had a ton of rain and in the high 70s. Linda, where are you again? Are you in Wisconsin, is it? Or is that Julia? Ron. Rutrow, yeah, Rutrow. What didn't get done? I know nothing. What didn't get done? I know nothing. Exactly. Perfect. So that's the way we're going today. But before we get started, I do have a couple things to show you guys. Last night, I showed the picture of that tree, and Angie talked something about some other kind of trees that she says, Julie and Doris are in Wisconsin. That's right. Julia. And Linda, where are you? Southwest Virginia. Oh, all right. I will try to remember that. But so Angie sent a picture of these trees that are kind of like the tree stumps. This one's kind of a dark. Let's see if I can get that any brighter on that one. No, not really. Oh, I know why. It is wrong. Oh, I know why. Because it's not a camera. But these tree stumps. These must be down either near your property or not too far around. Because yes, we see tree stumps like this frequently when they fall over and they pull up by the roots, especially if it's been soggy and wet. Oh, hey, don't do that. The picture got small on me. I hadn't locked it. I'm not the best with these mouse, but that's okay. Anyway, so thank you, Angel, for sending those pictures of the trees, because that does remind me of that black and white I had of that. And so before, though, we switch over to see the other one that's going to, Julia's picture, which goes right in to the story, and I'm going to save that for that. I have over here, wrong one. Oops, low, there, oops, not now. Let's see, I want to go to this. Yes, okay. So I pulled up, this is another one of the trees. So these are some of the ones I'm going to have at the art walk, I think. This print, this is our lone tree that we have, that the tide comes up and covers it up. And then a tide will go way out and it'll be long. But this was at a super high tide and very early sunrise. So this is my set that is the Key Peninsula, well, I'm calling the kaleidoscope, coastal kaleidoscope. So there's that one. Then there's this one, was at Lake Crescent over by the rainforest, over kind of by Forks. I'm not so sure about this one now. I'm so picky, you guys. This is out at Claylock. Actually, this is Beach 4. Yeah. The water was coming in. I got caught by incoming tide a couple of times at this place. I know that when the tide's coming in, and I know how it's coming in, and I know what it's going to do. I keep a very careful watch on that. But then the water gods decide that they want me to know who is really in control. And they kick up a wave that comes up higher than any other ones. And then I always get soaked. And I did this one. This is I was standing in a stream and that was going out, and just right shortly after I took this wave out here, decided to come crashing in and came all the way up and just soaked me. I was on my knees. I like this one. The rocks are very cool. And the sunset out this this edge of this over here, which I might cut this out because it doesn't really need it. That is, there's a lighthouse out here on Destruction Island. And this again is Beach 4. It comes down these rocks. You have to get to this beach, you have to go down about, probably easily maybe 300-400 steps that are not really even, and some of them are real shallow. And then you have to cross this little bridge, and then you have to grab a rope and shimmy down the rocks to get down to this beach. This is that heron I told you guys about, or the cormorant. This is out on Heron Island. This is the osprey nest. At sunset. And you've seen this one, except with me in it. I decided to print the one that had not me in it, out at Mo Clips. Oh, and there's another one of that one. So those are the ones I think I'm taking to the art walk that are some of my newest pieces. And that's my kaleidoscope on the coast type of things. I still have the Moab series. I'll show you that another night. I'm seeing, but I think I'm going to take these. I think these are the final selections, except one. I'm kind of like, maybe not. Anyway, let's see. Old Cali native, and that's why it's confusing. Send in last second scratch, kind of westernish theme monochrome in my favorite color. Not great, but something different for me. Oh, goody. Hang on. Let me get, go to this, hang on, let me go to preview mode. Get Larry's, and then I'll bring Larry up here. So you guys, I'm fiddling around back here, there, and there it is. There it is. It's coming. Thanks, Larry. Oh, yay. And I'll put that right there. Oh, cool. Oh, this will go perfectly with tonight. Well, with last night and, oop. Okay. There we go. I am going. So Larry just sent this in. He says it's the last minute Westernish theme monochrome in my favorite color. Not great, but something different for me. Good job doing the favorite color, Larry. I oopsed it completely. So this afternoon, I thought I was going to sit down and do it, and then I had got a call from my chiropractor's office, and they had a cancellation for a massage. So I went zipping up and got myself a massage because I was completely tensed out from getting everything ready. But I love this. Look at this. It's very much, oh, I love it. And that monochrome, so nice. Cypress trees with typing refresher. And that photo, thank you. Oh yeah, lots of motion. You can get some really good stuff down there if with the right kind of slow-mo with shutter speeds and setting it. But I have, Julia, I have a Canon R5, and I have a Canon 5D Mark III as my older one that's actually on in here. I use for in the filming as my main camera, but my 5D Mark III, my Canon R5 is is my main shooter now. And I think that those were taken, I'm not sure which lens I had on then. I have a couple of R lenses, plus I have an adapter for my EF lenses. Thank you. I'm glad you like the beach, the sunsets. Thank you. Thank you. Peter. I don't think Pete Seeger was the, Larry, you can correct me, but I don't think Pete Seeger was in the Weavers, but he wasn't in Peter, Paul, and Mary, I don't think. I could be wrong. But Larry would probably know for sure. He's the music expert here. I saw a clock similar with a ring around it. The old 30, I still have my old 35 millimeter, yeah. Anyway, so there's Larry's, and then Julia sent this, and this is the one she talked about the Dylan, and the Bob Dylan that she did, and that she got his nose just right. Everybody says she got his nose just right. I think that's, was something that it's really cool. Really cool. Good job, Julia. That's awesome. That's really awesome. So this goes, and it was perfect that you sent this, and it's funny, Larry, that your favorite colors are kind of almost going to go pretty close to what we got for this story tonight. The story tonight is, let me close this over here because my emails are open. You don't need. is by a guy named Colin Meloy. And I'm actually going to read about Colin first off from the back of the book, because it has a pretty good description of him. He says the writer, Colin Meloy, is the writer of the best-selling Wildwood Chronicles and the singer and songwriter for the band The Decemberists. He once joined Pete Seeger on stage singing American folk standards at the Newport Folk Festival in 2011, and even now he can barely believe it actually happened. It was so cool. He lives just outside of Portland, Oregon, with his family, and this is his first picture book. And his website is kind of cool. It talks about, he has a blog going on, the machine shop, and then he talks about the Decemberists, what they're doing, the Wildwood Chronicles, a little bit about that. Oh, blaming the dog, but he's cute. Oh, they're blaming that. Something's not right on that. Live from the farm, like in 2020. I'll be playing a solo show this next Thursday. Back in 2020, he did. And some things about him. So it didn't have a whole lot. He has a blog now. Sorry. My crabby is getting me. And, but this being his first picture book, and the fact that he actually got to work with Pete Seeger at one time is pretty spectacular. Now, the illustrator is Nikki McClure. And this is really kind of funny. She is an artist and writer who lives with her family in Olympia, Washington. She's the author illustrator of a number of acclaimed picture books, including Waiting for High Tide, In, Collect Raindrops, and The Great Chicken Escape. She's the illustrator of All in a Day by Cynthia Relant and May the Stars Drip Down by Jeremy Chaitlin. So she says about her art, I cut my images from black paper with an X-Acto knife. Everything is connected. It is all one piece of paper, yet now it holds a story. So she says, I live in Olympia, Washington, where I swim in the Salish Sea and I pick berries all summer. So Puget Sound, another name for the Puget Sound area, is the Salish Sea. If you go back to the Native American name that it is. But she grew up in Kirkland, spending her days watching ants and pretending I was an artist, which is really funny because we lived in Kirkland for years. The girls grew up there. I attended the Evergreen State College in Olympia, studied ants and drew them, as well as everything else in my environment: bees, trees, birds, nudibranches, and hung out with artists. Upon graduating, I worked for the Department of Ecology, and after 1 year I left and became an artist, drawing ants and ducks and making record covers, mittens for K Records, and performing on tour. In 1996, she made her first paper cut book for the book Apple, and she's been cutting ever since. And she now splits her times between making a yearly calendar and making children's books. I became full-time berry picker in the summer. That is when I'm not watching birds. And swimming. She shows her artwork at the Land Gallery in Portland every November, as well as shows internationally, and sometimes teaches, and she's always trying to learn how to do things better, which is pretty cool. So the name of their book is The Golden Thread. And here it is. And I'm going to start actually in the back, which is kind of odd because I want to read the author's note and her note, the artist's note, because we always liked so much about the art. Let me get this over here, trade a place here so that it gets a little more light. Switching, there we go. A little more light for the book there. So he says, even though I only met him once briefly in 2011, it really feels like Pete Seeger has been a lifelong acquaintance of mine. He was there in the songs my family sang around campfires. He was there smiling and singing on the LP sleeves on my parents' record shelves. He showed up in photographs of civil rights marches and union rallies. His voice was an undeniable presence in the modern environmental movement. I admit to having wept with patriotic pride, listening to him over the radio lead the crowd singing "This Land is Your Land" at the Lincoln Memorial in 2009. That was for Barack Obama's inauguration. My admiration for him has only grown, researching and writing the simple verse for this book. I'd like to thank Donna Bray and for all this going on. And then the artist says, the time of making matters. Pete Seeger sang through key moments in American history. Pete was there. The history of his life is American history. These images were made during the fall of 2016 and the winter of 2017. Pete was there with me as history was being made. I played his Rainbow Quest television shows while I worked. Pete's voice and cadence, his long limbs and smiles, all his songs and friends kept me company and gave me courage and strength to make. To illustrate Pete's life, I spent hours watching videos of him playing and talking. As I watched, I sketched and took pictures to use for his expressions. Pete always seemed happiest when he stepped away from his mic and the crowd sang along. I listened to his songs and sang as loud as I could and harmonized where I could find the right notes. I compiled historical photos of boats, people, signs, factories, and hats, and tried to keep track of banjo frets. All the images are cut from paper using an X-Acto knife. 2 layers were cut, a black layer and a gold layer. So, wow. This book is an act of remembering, but also of looking forward. What history will we be part of? What will this time make? Listen and share. And so it shows he was born May 3rd in 1919, and he died in January 27th of 2014. This is called The Golden Thread, a song for Pete Seeger. Let's see. Oh, you have music on 45s in your basement? Oh, it was a commission. Yes. A lot of people, he was the writer and originator of so many folk songs that went on to be sung by Peter, Paul, and Mary, by many people and all along. But he did work with the Weavers, or sing with the Weavers for, we'll get to that. And forces it to, let's see. This machine surrounds hate and forces it to surrender. That's what it says around his banjo. The Golden Thread, a song for Pete Seeger. Let's see if I can make sure you get light on all of this. There we go. I heard there was a golden thread, a shining magic thing that bounded up our little world. I heard Pete Seeger sing. This land is your land, this land is my land. Pete, what rhymes with Pete? A miner's cleat, a fishing fleet, the sound of many marching feet? I hear Pete Seeger sing. Was it a song that I heard sung along a cobbled alley, or from a merry sailing sloop that plied the Hudson River Valley? We shall not be moved. Bourgeois blues, oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to. Skip to Malou, leave her Johnny. Hammer bringer, river singer, sailor, soldier, lean bell ringer, a fighter in peace, musician in war, he followed that string till he couldn't no more. But before we get this string a-singin', all strings must have their first beginnin'. Pete was raised by musical hands. Yeah, there we go. The third-born member of a family band, playing 12-night stands, all hands, bringing Bach to backwaters, packing sons and daughters in a Model T Ford, with the boys on the boards and a bucket to wash all the diapers. Go tell Aunt Rhody the old gray goose is dead. I know that one. And our Pete grew. He grew and grew, 10 stories high, it might seem to you. Let's give him a banjo slung over his shoulder. Let's give him a song. Let's make him a soldier. In World War II, what's a pacifist to do? Armed with a banjo, he followed along to keep soldiers in cheer by singing them songs. A banjo can do more good than a gun, and it's a lot more fun, as there are songs to be sung, and chords to be rung, and voices to be brung round in harmony. He was tall and long in his arms. Call a meetin', talk it over. Oh, Pete, Pete, when next we meet, we find you on a brimming street. The crowds, they're reaching mountain size, and you're teaching folks to organize, unionize, preaching workers' rights to picket lines at factories, farms, in copper mines, and speaking of union. By now our Pete's a married man. That thread twines round the two right hands of Pete and Toshia Lean Otta. This love song wouldn't reach its coda. Till years had flown and children grown, whom Toshi often raised alone while Pete rambled far from home. Hand over hand round that ring, when you meet your new partner, give her a swing. And what do you do with a golden thread? But keep spinning it, hemming it, till it's worldwide spread. That's what Pete did. He took a song called I'll Be All Right that he'd heard sung for the labor fight. And he changed it round for a new crowd to hum, to proudly pronounce, we shall overcome. This beautiful song, with Pete's humble improvement, became a great anthem for the civil rights movement. But like every God needs its own believers, don't every thread need its own weavers? A bold ensemble to sing and praise Ronnie, Fred, and the great Lee Hayes, a friend of Pete's from the old picketing days. They sang out songs both wild and serene. They gave the world its Good Night, Irene, which topped the charts for 25 weeks. A worldwide smash, a #1 peak. Good night, Irene, I'll see you in my dreams. So those are the Weavers, and then there's Pete back there, and then the Weavers. But now our story takes a darker turn, like every season must turn. For at this time a cold war burned, and it seemed that our country had quite lost its way when fear and oppression began to hold sway. Folks were suspected for things they believed, for the thoughts that they carried, for the threads that they weaved. See, Pete sang for anyone, by day or by night, be they capitalist, communist, on left or on right. The fascists came with chains and war to prison us in hate, and many a good man fought. People's song tonight. Our Pete found himself quite caught up in this mess, for not caring a tick about which folks he addressed, or for whom he had sung, And when all said and done, Pete was then sent to a senator's court, and thereupon angrily asked to report about all his doings and political leanings, and did any of his songs have nefarious meanings? All this just to settle political scores. But Pete, he just said, "It's no business of yours." Which it wasn't, still isn't. It's our right to free speech. Without fear of reprisal beyond government reach, Pete was a patriot, was right to resist, but for all of his troubles, he was put on a blacklist. And they blackened his name, and they dampened his flame, and insisted that everyone look on in shame. But did this stop our hero, Pete Seeger? No. He kept playing music, and he kept playing songs, and he traveled the world with his family along. With his banjo in tow, playing show after show, Pete followed that thread and its long golden glow. Came yet? Oh, in different languages. But despite these adventures and the places they took him, back in the U.S., they still wouldn't book him. On TV or concerts or radio shows, Pete just had to make it all work on his own. His voice kept on ringing in song as long as folks sang right along. And after a time, those voices got louder, stronger and bolder, poetic and vital, with Dylan and Baez, Ox and Odetta, and Pete at the forefront. It was a revival. A festival forged on the shores of New England in Newport, Rhode Island. These folks found a home, and Pete was the plowman, on spade and on furrow, and music's sound seedlings found his fertile loam. He rode up to Miss Mousie's den and said, "Miss Mousie, are you within?" That thread, his homespun bed. This thread was a lifeline, a tuneful gift giver, a thing that entwines us, a deep winding river. Oh, had I a golden thread and needles so fine, I'd weave a magic strand of rainbow design. A river that bounded the house that he made on the hills of the highlands in a wide wooded glade. Hand-hewn and rough-hewn, timbered and tall, he built with his hands all these high wooded walls. And up in this homestead Pete whiled away times, out chopping old wood and paring up rhymes. But that river, the Hudson, all mired in its glop, who knows what would happen if you just drank a drop? A swimmer would think twice to take just one lap in. Well, Pete, good old Pete, could not let this happen. It's sailing up my dirty stream. Still I love it and I'll dream. My Hudson will once again run clear. So he built him a ship, a fine wooden sloop, to spread the good word on the Hudson's vile soup. The Clearwater sailed from New York to Beacon, Albany, Annandale, land of Mohicans. Like voices harmonious and joined in a song, folks helped make the river flow cleanly and strong. I have them where'er I roam. Sun and water, old life givers, I have them where'er I roam. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, 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 and a time to every purpose. As threads have beginnings, so must they have ends. Just like a river in its bows and its bends. As it starts in the mountains and flows to the sea, it spreads the world over when it's finally free. Pete's thread stretched long. It bridged generations through depressions, recessions, and high celebrations. He followed it doggedly, and with all of his heart, he wove it and drove it into his own art. Now Pete is beyond us. He's passed on away, but his legacy still surrounds us today. In music, in rivers, in organization, a hero to all in this young, mighty nation. One earth so green and round, who could ask for more? Oh, I heard there was a golden thread, a shining magic thing that bounded up our little imperfect world. I heard Pete Seeger sing. Nobody living can ever make me turn back. This land was made for you and me. And it shows the timeline here. When he was born, he learned his first instrument, the ukulele, at the age of 8. His true love ended up being the 5-string banjo, which he played with a clawhammer style. His 2 brothers, Charles and John, chip in to help pay for his tuitions at Harvard. Oh, so he went to Harvard. Forms a group called the Almanac Singers, which eventually boasts Woody Guthrie as a member. What? They perform at union rallies around the country. That was in 1941. He was drafted in 1942. He's conscripted to play banjo for injured servicemen. He marries Toshi Aline Oda, a woman he'd met at a square dance. Theirs is to be a marriage that would last both their lifetimes. Upon returning home from service, Pete forms the Weavers with singers Lee Hayes, singer Ronnie Gilbert, and singer-guitarist Fred Hellerman. The Weavers release a version of Leadbelly's tune Goodnight Irene, which becomes a sensation, topping the Billboard charts for 13 weeks. Very cool. So in 1955, he was targeted by the House Un-American Activities Committee for having ties to the Communist Party. He refuses to testify against himself, insisting that he has a constitutional right to privacy, and the committee had no business digging into his affairs. After a protracted trial for 2 years, he's blacklisted. He spends much of the 50s playing in schoolrooms on college campuses, and he and Toshi had built a log house on their property near Beacon, New York, and there they raised their children, Daniel, Tinya, and Micah. Their first child, Peter, died in his infancy. In 1959, he helped found the Newport Folk Festival in Newport, Rhode Island. It becomes a gathering place for some of the brighter luminaries of American folk revival: Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, Odetta, Phil Oakes, and Judy Collins, to name a few. And all the while, Pete tours the world playing his banjo, singing, and leading audiences in song. In 1966, Pete and Toshi helped found the Clearwater Festival to raise awareness of the polluted state of the Hudson River. In 1969, the Smothers Brothers effectively end the blacklisting of Pete Seeger when they invite him on their TV variety show. Also in this year, Pete helps build the sloop Clearwater, a wooden sailing vessel to ply the waters of the Hudson. The ship becomes a powerful tool for raising awareness of the unhealthy state of the river. And an organization springs up around the festival and the ship, which spearheads the push to clean up the river and make it safe for humans and wildlife alike. In 1980, the Weavers reunite for a concert at Carnegie Hall. In 1996, Pete is inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And in 2001, he is the recipient of a Kennedy Center honor. In 2008, Pete once more leads the country in a song singing Woody Guthrie's tune, This Land Is Your Land, in a nationally broadcast concert in celebration of Barack Obama's inauguration. And in 2013, Toshi Aline Seeger dies. And in January 27th of 2014, Pete Seeger dies in New York City at the age of 94. The illustrator says that she, where was it? Was that what she did? She spent, I think there was one point where she said she slept on the deck of the Clearwater one night in New York City after a show, that boat that Seeger built. Anyway, that is, it has a whole bunch. Look at, so this is one of the cool things I love about these books. These, you know, this is the music that is our folk music, that is part of our fabric of our country. We hear it all the time, but I think one of these type of book is so important to be able to have this kind of thing to show to kids, and as a great way even for adults to see. I learned so much reading this and have the timeline and learning about what it did and the connection. It brings back memories of these things. But this, for a young kid, is better than a history book, because you won't find this in a history book, and it brings up so many things that really of what make up the fabric of our country, and I just think it's wonderful. The medium is cut paper. She cuts it with an X-Acto knife. Solo artists. Let's see. Just checking a whole wreath. I think I missed a part of a conversation. The painting of Bob Dylan, I think you were asking about the medium on that. I've cut paper that way, made my fingers so sore. Oh my gosh. I have my mother's 45s from her teen years. It's a very cool little cube shaped in tin box. Oh my gosh. Yes. I wish I still had all of those. Him online in a concert long before he left us. Poetry has meter like music, but I love this. Yeah. Banjos. Once I restored an old, Larry says he has once. I have a few banjos. One I restored is an old harmony from the 40s. I got a goat hide from Jamaica for its skin. It's pretty sweet. Oh my gosh. Hi, Angel. Yay. That would be so cool. Banjos are something else. No beating up on each other in the background there, you guys. Are you? And I fed the dog. I did too. Yes, I've been slaving over the drive-through. Oh my gosh. Hey, this isn't Monday night with the... No way. That's too funny. Oh. So, yeah, Dylan wrote beautiful things. There have been moments. 38 years. You guys, that's not... I think, what are we coming up on? 45 or 46, something like that. I lose count. Yeah, I lose count. So yeah, Seeger and his wife, Pete Seeger and Toshi, were married in 1943. 43, so that's 70 years. 70 years before she died. Well, like my parents. My parents were 73 and a half. That's amazing. That's pretty cool. All right. My favorite songs for Bob Dylan is just the best. Yeah. And all of these, Judy Collins, Joan Baez, Odetta, Phil Oakes, all these other things that they wrote. And the Smothers Brothers. Who remembers watching the Smothers Brothers? I do. I remember watching them. It was one of the, we didn't watch a lot of TV in our house. Mom and Dad didn't let us watch TV on school nights, and there were some things, but anything with music kind of got to go to the sidelight. I could watch Smothers Brothers. Dad thought it was pretty stupid. But musical things, anytime there was a musical on TV, I could watch that. Anytime there was always things. So I have this love of old musicals and things like that. So it's from my favorite concerts were in the 70s. I can't remember the 70s very well. That artist made for those crowd scenes. Yes, there was one I saw in here, the crowd scene I have, but this is two. Let me go to back to this page. Look at this. So this is the one. How she must have had to cut those thin things out because everything's all connected, but the owl and this part, it's all connected. So it's all one paper, and then she layers them. So this was layered on top of this, but everything else is underneath. I love this down here. The crowd scenes. Where's that one with the crowd? Like this? Oh my gosh, you're right. When you think about it, think about that crowd scene, how it was done to get the Lincoln Memorial, and their hats. So cool. Wow. All right. So I'm just checking in here. Super cool. So let her. And yeah, X-Acto knives. I use them occasionally. I used to use them for cutting mats, and I much prefer my mat cutter now. Yes, the Smothers Brothers was hilarious. Tommy and what was the other one's name? Tommy and I can't remember. Another folk singer that my sister was big into, listened to a lot, was Glenn Yarbrough. Yes, and who was the poet that I had all his books? Oh, I can't remember now. I'm lost. Smothers Brothers, and been to their vineyard. Pete was a national treasure. He really was. I was thinking about, yay, Smothers Brothers. Okay, who can remember, Tommy, who was the other one? The one with the goat hides. Oh, okay, let me see. And, oh, cool, okay. Hang on. So Larry's got this picture that he did, but he just sent me this. I'm going to pull it in. It will pop in large. So there is the package that the goat skin came in. And he just said, just sent a picture of the package with one of the goat hides. It's so cool the way they shipped it to me. Oh, look at that. So you use that for the surface of the banjo that you restored. That is amazing. So cool. One sheet of paper. That one ties of natural cause. Oh, Gail. I was sure it was barbecued, yes. Tommy and Dickie, yes. No, Gail. Gail must be Gail, are you vegetarian? Oh my gosh, I'm farm girl. So if you are sending stuff in to me for showing up in the show, it is this see if I got it right this time. Email. Mom always liked you best. Mom always liked you best. That's right. Dickie used to say, oh my gosh. Yeah, rolling cutters don't do small stuff. They really don't. Amazing. I think I told you this. My aunt, that was a silhouette artist. She used manicure scissors, very, very sharp manicure scissors that she sharpened herself, and then she used them for doing the silhouette cuts. So when the eyelashes were all these perfect little things. So that was little tiny she had little manicure scissors, and she would cut along the paper. Yeah, it was pretty amazing. So anyway, I didn't, like I said, I didn't do lab 4. I goofed up and behind. Let's see what lab 5 is and see how far behind I can really get us. That would be fun. Let's see. I have too many books in my, there it is. Lab 5, okay. Those are the favorite colors. Still favorite colors. So this one is night creatures. Oh, okay. So this one, the directions are to do a night creature. So lab 5, where is there? It says lab 5. Here, let me write this down. Books right here. There. Okay. Lab 5. See, I said oops. Oops. Oops, that's oops. I forgot. Anyway, lab 5, 728 is night creatures. So, you know, anybody else has this habit of you write something down that you want to do or you're going to do, and just because you wrote it down, a part of your brain says it's done? Yeah. A part of my brain likes to jump in and do that once in a while. Oh, you wrote it down. It must be done. Materials for reference, if desired: cardstock, oil pastel, watercolor, soft color brush, water, scissors, dark colored paper for the background, chalk, pastels, clear glue. What do you think? What do you see when you go outside at night? Have you noticed animals that only come out at night? What does the sky look like at night? Does your street or yard appear different at night? What is your favorite thing to do outside after dark? Do you have an idea now? Choose your reference image to work from if desired. Our student chose moths. She did moths. And draw your creature images on here. I'll show you guys. She had moths. And then draw your creature images on the cardstock with oil pastels using only fine lines, as you will use watercolor paints to fill it in. Use the watercolors to wet brush to fill in the shapes. Cut out the creatures. Put them on a dark colored background. Use a chalk pastel, draw your nighttime landscape. And apply clear glue on the back and put them on. Add any other details. Okay. Okay, night creatures. Cool. That's the next one. Let's see if I can remember not to forget this. Remember not to forget. The oxymoron of the day. Yes. I don't know if that's really an oxymoron, but that's just the babble that I have. Maybe it is an oxymoron. Remember to forget. If I don't forget to remember, forget, yes. I think when I got my massage, I got my brain just a little scrambled. Oops the oops. Stars and fireflies. Yeah. Yeah. About what? I'm never right about. You're right, Linda. Linda, go for it. He said you're right. Larry said you're right. I mean, seriously, I'm I grab it when somebody says I'm right. Anyway, you guys, that was tonight's story, The Golden Thread, a song for Pete Seeger. I really enjoyed this. I hope you guys did too. I really, one of the joys for me in children's literature is coming across books like this that go in a direction of our history that's not presented otherwise, or you don't hear about, or unless you're in a special field, you would know about it. And this kind of thing where there's a book like this, it's just wonderful. You can, to be able to have these come up, and such a, a national treasure like this, like Pete Seeger is, be talked about in a children's book, and it's wonderful. It was published in, it's like really thick paper that they put it on too. Really nice. Much heavier cardstock. Let's see. Newer book. Put it in the back. That's right. 2018. Yep. The artist took her own photos of Pete from filmed performances and used historical photos to make images. Artwork was created by cutting black paper with an X-Acto knife. Gold paper was cut for additional layers of song and backgrounds. 58 blades and 22 pieces. 58 blades. 58 blades and 22 pieces of black paper were used. Image on page 27, inspired by a photograph, copyright by Bettman Getty Images, page 27. Of course it's not. Oh, that's this one. I know which one that is. That's, that would be this one. Yes, there is, I've seen the Getty image of this one. That's where she got it. I knew that looked familiar. Yes. All right, everybody, that was that. And so that was story time for tonight with The Golden Thread. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it spoke to my musical heart. Music is such a connection for us in so many ways. Like you said, Linda, about it has a, poetry has a rhythm to it and a meter just like music does. And they just seem to fit together and create, I mean, it's like it adds to our it's like we have a music memory, and like we have muscle memory, we have music memory, and we hear pieces of a song and it can take us to some place, or from when we heard that song, or that memory of listening to those people. And I think it's amazing that this book brings that out, that kind of history out for kids to see all the time and everywhere. So I appreciate you guys being here. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I hope it spoke to you and you had some fun with it. And I'm going to try to get my lab 4 and 5 done. Catch up. Now that my printer is kaput for a couple days, I guess I'm stuck. I just have to get some pieces matted for the show, which is not a problem. But until next time, you guys, keep looking for the beauty hidden in plain sight. All right? It's all around you. Look in the mirror. You'll see it looking back at you. And then go share it with everybody else. Create some art, create some beauty, and enjoy. And I'll see you next time. Oh, bats. That's a good idea.
We could get lost in all the lights and sounds. Feel alright. We won't go home. We will just stay here downtown. There's not just stars on the boulevard.
I didn't know that either.
They're in the light in your eyes. Oh, we don't need no black cards. I just need you by my side. could be shameless, famous,
Yes.
cool, with a love that leaves us weightless.
I count this as part of my exercise time every day.
Gorgeous, wow. Ooh, you got me feeling starstruck too. We could be famous.
Oh, thank you, Larry.
Famous. You blow my mind, looking like a model, better than the usual. Yeah, you don't even try, not average or typical.
Oh,
I put
gosh.
you on a pedestal. There's not
Yep.
just stars on the boulevard.
It's the Getty Images are a stock photo company associated with the Getty Museum. It's at one of their subsidiaries.
By my side, we could be shameless, famous,
Oops.
cool, with a love that leaves us weightless. Ooh, drop dead gorgeous, wow. Ooh, you got me feeling starstruck too. We could be famous. We could be famous.
Mermaid dancing.
We could be famous. We could be famous.
There's Linda dancing. I love it. Thanks, you guys, for being here, coming along.
We could be shameless, famous, running cool, with a love that leaves us weightless. Ooh, drop dead gorgeous, wow. Ooh, you got me feeling starstruck too. We could be famous. We could be famous. We could be famous. We could be famous.
Night, everybody.